Hi there, everyone. This is Darren from SimNation. Just doing a quick sim tonight, which will be the championship game for SNCFL. For those of you not aware, SNCFL is our Draft Day Sports College Football 2024 league, soon to be a 2025 league, as we will make the flip over to 2025 as soon as it's released. I think it's like a week or two from now. So we'll slow play the rest of the season in order to make it because the best time to make the switch is at the flip. I think from the last time that we talked, it's been a while, but we are in the playoffs, of course, and tonight is a championship game, which will pit Maryland versus UCLA, so Stewart versus myself. If we do a quick look and kind of see how we got here, um, essentially, Maryland was the number one seed coming into the tournament. UCLA was the number two. Both teams are undefeated, and both teams have had a really, really good season up until then. So Maryland drew UNLV, who, as you can see, they demolished UNLV 63 to 14. Of course, coming into this, Maryland has a very balanced attack with Barrientos being the main running back, and of course Herman, a former five-star recruit at quarterback, being the main quarterback for Maryland. UCLA has a very balanced attack as well. As you can see, Vaughn rushed for 95 yards and a touchdown, and then Reno passed for 255 yards and two touchdowns against Iowa. Couple things to call out. Georgia beat Virginia Tech, which is Bama, so that's Shark and Bama. Kent State, if I remember correctly, is Brian, who knocked off Oklahoma State, which used to be Frankie. So that's a really big win for Brian. Shark downed Stewart's other team, Duke, in the first round, 37-34. That one, not probably as much of a shocker. Duke had a really good season, but honestly, Iowa State is one of the premier teams in the Big 12, which is one of the toughest conferences in all of SNCFL. Big shock as well as Rutgers, which is Kevin, down Stewart, who's at Michigan, 34 to 20. Can't talk enough about Rutgers and what Kevin's done there. He's really made that team that much stronger. And just to round out really a bad day for Stewart is USC, which is Brian, knocked off Western Michigan, which is one of Stewart's other teams. Western Michigan, of course, is a powerhouse in the SNCFL, but it's really good to see what Brian has done with USC with restoring them back to where they were. Just sample is at Florida State. He lost to Skelter at Louisiana Monroe, 35 to 10. Kind of a little bit of a shock though. Florida State had had a really good season up to that point, but Louisiana Monroe was just a little bit too much for them. So if we look at the quarterfinal games, Skelter and I played a lot closer than it has been in previous years, with again Herman being the main difference in this one, as Maryland knocks off Louisiana Monroe to go to the semifinals. A rematch of the Pac-12 South, UCLA and USC. Well, this one wasn't really even that competitive. Stewart just blasted past Bryant with USC. Um, don't want to take away from USC's good game, but the Pac-12 is really owned by UCLA at this point. Georgia in the SEC, who's probably one of the strongest in the SEC, along with Louisiana Monroe, got knocked off by Rutgers. That's a little bit of a shocker for Shark. And again, McCulloch had a really good game. Kevin finally got one of his teams into the semifinals with Rutgers. So congrats, Kevin. And then in the other quarterfinal game, of course, we had Shark versus Brian, and Iowa State just basically ran past Kent State, which is kind of what you would expect. There's a little bit of a talent differential there, but still great job with Kent State this year. In the semifinals, we saw Rutgers take on UCLA. Game was pretty close. McCulloch had a pretty decent game, but that interception, if I remember correctly, was kind of costly. And of course, Stewart made it to the finals. I think this may be like the second year. I'll have to check that in a second. But Maryland, of course, got past Iowa State in a pretty high-scoring game, so Shark won't be happy that he lost, but it was a much better showing than some of the previous matchups between these two teams. So Herman, again, having a very good season for Maryland. He's a sophomore. And then, of course, Harrell had a really good, strong game running. From a UCLA Maryland perspective, this game's going to be interesting. These two are very, very similar to each other. Now, I've already hit the send button. I don't know what the score is. We're going to watch the game. But I will tell you that when you look at these two teams, if there's a team this year that probably can knock off Maryland, that's other than potentially Georgia, I would say it's probably UCLA. UCLA stacks very well against Maryland. They have really good corners. They have a very balanced offense, as you've seen throughout the playoffs so far, with the ability to run the ball, pass the ball. And Maryland, a little bit this year is a little bit of a paper tiger. They're not as strong as previous years, even though you might look at it and say, well, they're scoring tons of points. Um, I would say that outside of like Iowa State and let's be candid, Skelter's not necessarily always known for his defenses. So Maryland's offense is pretty good. Their defense in the playoffs has been pretty bad, which is abnormal, but they've had some injuries. Coming into this game, Maryland has to deal with Joseph Birch being out, who's their top wide receiver. I don't remember if UCLA has any injuries, but this should be a really good game between the two of them. So let's just jump right into the game. We'll go ahead and click watch. We're going to adjust the play speed a little bit, animation speed up a little bit. I think that should be a good setting. Let me just double check and make sure it's showing correctly, and it is. So we will go ahead and hit play, and this is the national title game with UCLA coached by Stewart and Maryland coached by myself. So we'll see who wins the kickoff, and it looks like this may be a little bit too fast. Let's slow that down a little bit. So Maryland's UCLA gets the ball first. Vaughn rushes for 13 yards, gets tackled by Nye. That's a pretty good beginning for UCLA. Really what Stewart probably wants to see. Second time, not as easy. Maryland stops that one for 1 yard. They're going to throw the ball. That one looks like it got thrown away to avoid a sack. So Reno had to throw that. So we're now looking at 39. And the pass is broken up. So UCLA goes essentially 5 plays and out and punts it, and it's a 44-yard punt return, no return, sorry. So we'll see how Maryland comes. They hand the ball off, and pretty good run by Barantos, who's having a really good season. I think he's a freshman, if I remember correctly. And we see that again with they will run him quite often. Let's just see here if I can switch this over to stats. And again, Maryland's going to run the ball quite a bit in this one to try to establish the rushing attack. To open up the pass, a good pass from Herman to May for 6 yards. May is one of their speedsters. Maryland has a lot of speed at wide receiver, so they'll look to do that and stretch the play out. Ropo, of course, is playing because Birch is hurt, but Ropo also has speed. So Herman's off to a pretty good start. He's in a scramble and another completion, and this one goes in for a touchdown. So Ropo managed, it looks like he juked the defender and managed to rush it in. So Maryland takes an early lead, 7-0. Again, UCLA has the ability to come back. I'm not really worried about storing his team. That's a good kick return of 29 yards. So we'll see if he tries to establish the run or if he's going to start throwing the ball. Again, good coverage. He'll really good pass, but it's intercepted by Bernil. So probably not the start that Stewart wanted. We'll see if Maryland can capitalize off the turnover. Maryland does have very good corners who are very fast. Bernil is one of them. I should know all their names, but I'm still a little bit under the weather, so bear with me. drop there, so 2 passes, 2 drops. Gonna keep trying to pass it. I would expect to see them try to push the rope or angle pretty much all day. Mostly again because the offense is predicated on throwing to the outside. And hopefully Stewart hasn't caught on to that. But Barrentos not doing horrible, but on this drive we have a 3rd and 8. Um, and he finds Overstreet, who is one of the better wide receivers for a first down. So Melvin is moving the ball. Okay, not great. That rush is stopped completely by Colo, who is one of the better defenders on his team. Another thing, and it looks like a horse collar, so that'll be a personal foul and it'll help move Melvin up. I will say that Stewart is completely like locking down that run, forcing Melvin to throw the ball. But right now, Melvin's doing a decent job of throwing the ball. So there they find the fullback, Chavez, for a short gain. It's 3rd and 3, and they get the sack. Wayne Moriarty knocks Herman down. Hopefully it doesn't hurt Herman because the backup for Maryland is not very good. And Maryland gets the field goal, so it's 10-0 at this point. And it's kicked through the end zone. Bergeron is a really good kicker, by the way. It won't shock me to see him kicking that pretty constantly. So 9-yard rush by Vaughn. I think if UCLA starts to run the ball, they're going to have a little bit more success with Maryland to open up the pass. 9 yards, if you just throw the ball, Maryland will probably shut you down. And this is a pretty good drive so far. They're really starting to ride the running back in Vaughn. Good pass, and this is where Maryland's speed probably came in good, that they were able to run him down, but very good pass by Reno to, I think, Vaughn. He's got time. Let's see if he can throw the touchdown, and it's incomplete. Again, trying for Young. So, good pass for 7 yards. They'll bring down a 3rd and 2. See if they run the ball here. And it's incomplete. Reno's struggling a little bit. He's 2 for 6 with an interception, but the field goal is good, so UCLA gets on the board. It's now 10-3 in the first quarter still. And a 32-yard return for Maryland. Trying to see how much time is left. 2:19, sorry. So another run by Barrentos for 7 yards. Kind of initially thought that this one could be like a defensive battle. Stewart is probably one of the better game planners in the SNCFL, hence the reason why UCLA, Western Michigan, Duke, all in the playoffs. There's a penalty there. Looks like it's on UCLA. It's probably 2 penalties that's helped Maryland with field position. And that one's picked off, and that one looks like it was ran back for a touchdown. So good job by UCLA. That'll definitely make Stewart happy. So now we're now tied at 10 after the 71-yard interception for a touchdown. And I think UCLA, again, there's a lot of similarities between these two. They both have really strong kickers. So let's see how Herman bounces back from that. One of the problems he's had this year is he does throw a lot of interceptions. That one's broken up by Allen. And we're at the end of the first quarter, now in the second quarter with the two teams tied at 10. Good pass again. Looks like Herman's going to start trying to work the opposite side of the field and get the ball to May, who is a speedster. Cox has now come on at running back, who used to be the starting running back. He's ran for over 2,000 yards last season. But again, another completion. I mean, outside of the pick six, Herman's not doing that bad. Good run hill, but that one may be coming back, and it is. So kind of sucked. That was a good run. Robo gets another one. So, I mean, Herman's not having a bad game. He's 9 of 13 or 10 of 14. But he did throw that pick six. So, trying to go for it again, and they pick up the first down and a little bit more. Ropo definitely is having a good game so far. And that one falls short. Ostrander is Maryland's very fast tight end. Not sure that they should be throwing it to him in space. I mean, in coverage, because he's not going to get very far. But there they find him for a first down. Another unsportsmanlike conduct on UCLA. That's probably like the third in the first half. Mellon will throw it, and it looks like that's a touchdown to Ostrander, the tight end. So Mellon jumps back up 17 to 10. We'll kick it back off, and this one goes through the end zone. So I think UCLA will start at their 20, and we'll see how they'll do with close to 10 minutes. Another drop. It'd be interesting to see at the end of this game how many passes have been dropped. And that's not good for Maryland. That Bernier is hurt on the play. They lose one of their best corners. Let's see if UCLA can take advantage. And Bozeman gets to Reno and sacks them. That should make this, I think, 4th and 16, which it's a no-brainer. UCLA is going to punt it. Really good punt of 63 yards. Maryland can't return that, so Maryland will take back over with 8 minutes, leading 17 to 10. That's a sack. Marcus Yount, who's the free safety, got to Herman this time. So Maryland will be backed up on like a 2nd and 21. This game is actually probably more of a home game for UCLA because it's in Inglewood than it is for Maryland, who would have had to travel across the country just to get here. Maryland picks up the first down, finding Chu, who's traditionally one of the inside wide receivers. And they're going to keep trying to run the ball to see if they can open up the pass or just keep UCLA honest. Chu picks up the first down with another catch. So Maryland's distributing the ball relatively good right now. Definitely Roper is getting the most of the matchup on the outside. I don't know if it's with Garcia a lot, but he's definitely beating Garcia quite a bit. Barrentos he started hot, and since then he's been pretty much shut down. You'll see a lot of counters from Maryland. They tend to run counters a lot. And they'll throw the ball quite a bit out of a two tight end set. This is Overstreet, who again is one of the better wide receivers on the team. And we'll see a 2-yard run. There's just not much happening on the ground, but at this point, Maryland's trying to eat the clock to try to kind of get into half. It looks like Ropo again beat out the corner and was able to go for a touchdown, which takes Maryland up 24 to 10. Again, if you're UCLA, you're not worried. They have the ability to score very quickly. They have speed as well. But with 2:28 left, you probably don't want to be running the ball unless you're just trying to get out of the half. I will say that I expected Reno to do better than this. And in fairness to him, though, he's had a lot of passes dropped. So that one goes to Whitmore for 11, gets the first down. They have a minute 44 left. Finds Whitmore again. That may be the play. We'll see if the CPU or if Stewart capitalizes on that. One of the things that would be cool is that both coaches could actually play against each other in this game. Because I think Stewart would be calling this a little bit differently than the CPU is. So with a minute 26, UCLA is trying to drive it to at least get some points before the end of the half. But that's 2 straight incompletions will bring up 3rd and 10. right around the 50. They complete that, get it for 8 yards. You're probably not going to go for it here with a minute 16, but they are, and it's a turnover on downs because they didn't get the first down. So see if Mellon sits on it. Mellon will likely just run it, but again, UCLA could give up points here because of the unnecessary roughness call. Mellon, of course, has all 3 timeouts. That's an incompletion with about a minute left in the half before we go to halftime. And that's another incompletion. So Mellon's definitely trying to get points here. And that ball was dropped. So they'll try for the long field goal with Bergeron, who is pretty good at those. So 24-10 becomes 27-10. And this should be really the last play of the last series of the first half. A little not as close as I thought it would be, but Mellon's kind of broken away in the second quarter. Xavier Welsh gets the sack. That we'll see if that ends the half. UCLA only has 1 timeout left. Good pass. Penalty on Maryland. Should move them up with 32 seconds left. See if they can't get a score here. And it's another sack by Willie Wash. You'll see Maryland blitz a lot of the safeties. That's pretty common. More common in the pro game than in the college game. But that brings up a 2nd and 20 with 23 seconds left, and it's an incompletion. Again, incompletions don't hurt you with this much time left. It was a really good pass, but I don't think he got out of bounds. See if they burn their last time out. No, they just punt it. And we'll see if Mellon's not going to sit on the ball. I can tell you that much. I don't have them set to do that. So with 2 seconds left, and that of course ends the first half with Mellon up 27-10. So definitely the second quarter was all Maryland. UCLA is struggling to score on offense. Remember, the only touchdown came on defense with that pick 6 off of Herman. So going to get some time. He's going to find Dayward May. Dayward May dances for 15 yards and gets the first down. There's a penalty with too many men on the field. Not normal for UCLA. They're typically a pretty disciplined team. So far, it has been pretty much all Maryland in the last 15, 16 minutes. And a good run by Barantos. UCLA does not want him to get started. But we'll see if Maryland can get him into the game. He largely has been a non-factor so far, as Maryland has been doing most of its work through the air. Find Ostrander again. I'm sorry, Overstreet, who's having a fairly good game. If you notice, Roper is so far having a really good game with 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. And of course, in pretty much Herman had thrown for over 200 yards in the first half. That's like the 3rd or 4th sack. I think that's Colo's 2nd sack of the night. So they're definitely getting pressure on Herman, which is what they want. And throw to the outside, finds Overstreet, who gets 13 yards but gets tackled. It'll be another field goal attempt, which is good. Bergeron's not going to miss many. He's really one of the better kickers in the league. So it's 30-10 with 9:50 left in the third quarter. And we'll see if UCLA can't get this going. Warden gets the run this time. Reno is going to get sacked again. Michael Mahaffey, who's one of the freshman defensive ends, I think he's a freshman, gets the sack this time. Maryland, I think, has like 3 sacks on the game so far. Young gets the catch, but that brings up a 4th and 13, and UCLA is going to have to punt. Not a really good punt this time for Pritchett, who had, of course, had the 63-yard in the first half. So we'll see if Maryland can get moving again, and they're probably going to move more and more to the ground. So far, this is a tale of 2 quarterbacks. Reno, who I actually thought would have the better of the 2 games, as I say that. Another interception from Herman. That's his second of the game. At least this one wasn't for a pick six. So let's see if they can use that to turn the tide. But Maryland's coming out with nickels and trying to just clog the middle and clog the outside. So I think Stewart does counters similar to what Maryland does, but so far Maryland's defense is doing a pretty good job forcing a punt, which goes through the end zone. Maryland will get the ball at the 20. Kind of a shame that UCLA wasn't able to convert though, but UCLA is kind of struggling a little bit with how do they get the ball moving. So 2nd and 3, Maryland, 1 yard gain. It'll be 3rd down and 1. And they're going to throw the ball again. This one's incomplete, so Maryland will have to punt this time. And UCLA gets an okay return, so we'll see if they can get it going. Time's starting to work against them at this point. They have 4:39 left in the third quarter, so roughly about 19 minutes left in the game. They hand the ball off, trying to get Vaughn back into it, I think. Mostly because Reno is just, again, not entirely fair to him. He has had quite a few drops, but I think that's like 10 of 22 on the day so far. Vaughn gets tripped up in the backfield, this time by Rendon, who's one of Maryland's linebackers. And they throw the ball, broken up by Rash, who's one of the strong safeties. Brings up 3rd and 11. Good pass to Everett, but it's only for 5 yards. So they'll punt again. And this one goes to the end zone again. So not sure why they're not trying for the field goal to at least get some points, but I won't criticize that. It's one of the things with the CPU sometimes is it won't kick the field goal when the field goal is good. But another sack by UCLA. UCLA has definitely gotten pressure on Herman. And I think he's beginning to he's starting to heal footsteps. But again, 30 to 10, he's in good shape. Maryland will have to punt after the incompletion, which should give UCLA good field position this time. So only a punt of 31 yards. UCLA will start on Maryland's side of the field. Let's see if they can do something with this. Good 4-yard gain by Vaughn. He's got time. See if he can get it. Good pass. And Reyes gets all the way down into the red zone. 34-yard gain before he's brought down by Lauren Martin, who's probably on the field playing for Bernil, who's injured. And no good run. It looks like they are starting to work it, so this could be a touchdown here shortly. They don't have to get the touchdown here, they just need to get the first down. And it's picked off in the end zone by De Los Santos. So Maryland dodges a bullet with 14 seconds left, keeps the score at 30 to 10 after they pick off Reno's pass. And Maryland will likely run the ball this series just because they're really backed up in their own zone. So that ends the third quarter with Maryland ahead 30 to 10. Only 3 points have been scored so far. Barrientos does a really good job of picking up the first down. That'll open the field up a little bit for Maryland. They try to find him out of the backfield, but it's broken up. And UCLA gets another penalty for neutral zone infraction this time. So time is definitely working against them. And Overstreet catches another pass. He's quietly had a pretty decent game. And Cox comes out, is now in the backfield and has a really good gain there as well. Look for Maryland to run the ball more and more. Not one of the games in which is normal for Maryland. They normally have a 100-yard rusher, but Cox is doing the work. They'll pass and it's fumbled, and recovered by UCLA. So yeah, Herman's not having a really good game with holding on to the ball. So he's thrown 2 interceptions, one of them pick six, and now a fumble. So let's see if UCLA can make the most of this. Good run. Hopefully it doesn't come back, and it doesn't. It's a face mask on Bozeman. So Vaughn runs for 23 yards, gets it back in the Maryland red zone. And this one should be a touchdown. So he finds Rush for 9 yards. Reno finally gets them on the board with an offensive touchdown. So it'll be 30-17. Kind of shocked they did an onside kick though. But they send it through the back of the end zone. So essentially it's a two-score game at this point. So if you're Maryland, you're trying to run the clock out. If you're UCLA, you're just trying to get the ball back. So 2nd and 6 will become 3rd and 4. There's 10 minutes left. There's a lot of time left for them to do something. That one probably hurts a little bit. And that's defensive pass interference plus an injury. They stuff Cox this time. It's becoming a little bit more apparent that Maryland's trying to run the clock out. Aquino, who is Maryland's third back, drops the pass essentially. And Maryland again just trying to get something going to keep the clock moving. They'll end up punting the ball. And we'll see if UCLA can do this. Again, lots of time left in this one. UCLA, if they can get a score here, will put pressure on Maryland and should be able to really get back into this. So finds Rush again, who's the one that caught the touchdown. Let's see if they can move the ball. So interesting that get a great catch, but then illegal use of the hands negates it. Rush still this time gets the reception for 7 yards, 3rd and 4. He's got a step. Rush manages to get it. Ruckel brings him down. So gets the first down, and they're driving. Not a good run though. With 6:48, you really need to have a sense of urgency if you're UCLA. That's 2 rushes in a row that pretty much were stopped. So now they've got to throw the ball on 3rd down, which means Maryland's just going to come after them. And they get it for 9. Got to wonder if they're going to go for it Hill. And they get the first down, so they're keeping the drive alive. 4 minutes and 52 seconds left though. And I just don't know that I would be running the ball right Hill. I think that you need to be throwing it. Because you still need you need 2 things, and it's picked off this time by Ruckel, who takes it all the way down to the 5-yard line, 6-yard line. So that probably puts a knife in this one. So it wouldn't shock me if Maryland is able to kind of run out things or get things in a better shape. There's 3:37 left. Stranger things have happened actually, but if Maryland scores here, it's pretty much over. So Barrentos gets to the 4. It's 3rd and goal. Probably expect Maryland to throw the ball. It's incomplete, so they'll kick the field goal, which means in theory that if UCLA can score twice, get both 2-point conversions. Let me just make sure my math is right. Actually, I don't need two. Yeah, they do. No, they don't. Sorry, I'm going back and forth, but they essentially need to be able to yeah, they need both 2-point conversions. Sorry about that. But they definitely need to move the ball, and it's another interceptions. Maryland's secondary is just pretty much at this point picking it off at will. Nye is a free safety. So that's pretty much the game. With 1:54 left, Maryland can just sit on it. So UCLA calls a timeout. If Maryland gets a first down here, they'll largely have a good ability to do it. Another timeout. It's 3rd and 4 on Maryland's side of the ball. If Maryland kicks a field goal here, it's pretty much over. So Maryland does get the first down. They are at the 2-yard line. with a minute 39 left. Again, Maryland's not going to sit on it, unfortunately. They get a yard. They should be able to start running the clock out. It's third and goal with 29 seconds left, and another yard, and that will end this one. So at the end of this one, Maryland wins the SNCFL championship, 33 to 17. Just some general thoughts. The UCLA defense, I don't think played horrible. I think that they were able to get to Herman pretty much most of the game. They caused 3 turnovers. I think they had what, 5 sacks. Herman had an okay game. It wasn't a great game. With 23 of 37 for 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Roper had a very good game filling in for Birch. Um, so, I mean, all in all, if we look at the box score, um, Maryland had 25 first downs to UCLA's 11. They outgained them 409 to 270. A large part of that had to do with the drops and the incompletions, but there were 4 turnovers to 3. Wasn't a very clean game, but this is the killer right here. It was 40 minutes of time of possession to just about 20. We know through 4 interceptions was sacked 4 times. Herman, through 2 interceptions, was sacked 5 times, but through 3 touchdowns. Vaughn had moments where he looked really good. So did Barantos. But largely, both teams did a good job of shutting down the other team's running game. I think the thing that really changed the game was Roper was able to pretty much work very well against the secondary members he was against. If you look at the defensive stats, you had Moriarty, who had a really good game. 6 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 3 hurries, 1 knockdown. He recovered a fumble, which of course was off a sack. Colo also had a really good game with 4 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, a sack, 4 hurries. Um, Allen also Allen got burned quite a few times, but he still came up with an interception and a pick six in the first half. On the Maryland side, if you look at the defense, I don't think it's as good, but you have Bozeman, who had a pretty good game with 2 knockdowns, 1 hurry, 1 sack. And then, of course, Maryland had 4 interceptions with Bernio, De Los Santos, Rocco, and Nye all getting into the action. Um, Maryland's offensive line did a pretty good job. Williams, who's one of their tackles, had a very good game. Uh, just checking my half, he is a freshman. And then on the opposite side, of course, you had Russo, who had a really good game. So all in all, good season for Stewart. Probably didn't end the way he wanted to. The 12 penalties definitely did not help them, as they had multiple personal fouls throughout the game. So great job, everyone. I'm going to exit this real quick. Go to league home. I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'll do that offline. Um, so I do need to show the score though, only because otherwise it won't. So if we go back and just wrap up the season real quick, and I'll do a more exhaustive video. Is, as you can see, Florida State had a really good year, so did Duke. So this is just sample. This is Stewart. This is Bama, if I remember correctly. So really good seasons from them. If in the Atlantic, Cable had a really good season with Central Florida this year. Didn't make the playoffs, but it's good to see Central Florida back. It was the ghost of Frankie versus Shark throughout the season, but Van had a really good season with Kansas. Colorado had issues with their quarterback. Gary had a good season at Oklahoma. So all in all, just the Big 12 remains the one of the hardest ones. Big 10 is right up there, but it's really the East that's the hard one. So you have Maryland, which is me. You have Michigan, Stewart. Kevin's at Rutgers. You have DP at Ohio State. Um, and then you have, I think it's Barry at Wisconsin, if I remember correctly. But the Big Ten definitely had its fair share of people. Uh, Conference USA, we'll just gloss over that. Same with that. As I said earlier, Western Michigan is definitely a power, but Brian's starting to push on Stewart pretty hard with Western Michigan. He has Kent State, of course. And then in the Mountain West, not much there. Pac-12, I mentioned this before, it's really become the battle of the South where you have Stewart versus Bryan. In the North, you have some stuff starting to develop, but it'll be interesting to see how the North kind of stacks out a little bit across this season. Southeast, the SEC is really skeletal. I want to say Auburn. Forget who has Auburn, and I should remember this, so I apologize if I miss anybody. I'm still not entirely well, so Auburn, if I remember correctly, is Invisible Witness, I think. So great first season for him at Auburn, going up against Skeltel. Georgia, of course, is Shark. This is SOA. And then I think Kentucky has been taken over by Starfinder, and Tennessee, of course, is Udo. I want to say I missed somebody. I think Bama has California if we go back to Pac-12. So California is starting to develop as one of the northern powers. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. And then, of course, in the Sun Belt, it's the Sun Belt. The main powers here are like Georgia Southern and Coastal Carolina. Coastal, of course, is Shark, if I remember correctly. Georgia Southern is DWK. Um, so I mean, all in all, really good season from a lot of different people. Have a lot to be happy about. Um, we will be doing the awards voting next. I'll put up a poll, but for those of you who are watching this video, thank you for bearing with me. I did intend to do this live. It's just I didn't know if I would have the voice and stuff for it. So thank you for the great season. If you're interested in it, we do have a lot of good teams still available. There's Clemson, who is one of the powers. So if we just look here real quick, where am I looking for? We'll go team info. So if you're just looking at some of the top teams from Prestige, uh, Oklahoma State's open. Miami's not. There's actually a couple people who put in for Miami, and I've got to figure that one out. Washington State is open. Um, Alabama is open. So Houston, Nevada, um, Baylor, Clemson. So there's some really good teams out there if you're interested. So once again, thanks everyone for your time tonight. Hope you have a good night. Talk to you later.